This could be the best pre-owned Sportster S we've seen yet. What's up, guys? I'm Isaac here at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, and I have your pre-owned bike of the week. This pretty sweet, rocking mid-controls and a lift, Harley-Davidson Sportster S. So we have a pre-owned Harley-Davidson Sportster S. This thing is pretty sick. Everything's pretty right on this thing, and I can't really think of much else you'd really want to do to this bike. I mean, besides exhaust, of course. This is the first Sportster S I've seen in person and been able to ride that actually has the mid-control set on it. So if you're familiar with these bikes, you know that stock they actually have a forward set, which kind of puts you in a little more keeps this bike a little more cruiser, muscle cruiser. But with these mid-controls, and especially with this Kodlin lift linkage, so it's actually raising the rear end of this bike up a little bit more, give you a little bit more ground clearance, and put you really on top of this bike. This bike could, these two things could be a game changer on this machine. So that's pretty exciting. Other aftermarket features, of course, it does have parts of the, I believe it's the Adversary collection, with all the little orange accents all over on this bike, really making it stand out. And it does have some heated grips on it too. That's pretty nice. So it does use a remote start, not remote start. It uses a key fob, so you can keep that in your pocket and start the bike with that. So push in, one touch start, easy as that. So key fob can stay in your pocket or your riding jacket, and you're good to go with that. So we're going to let it warm up a little bit more. This is the gray haze color, all those bronze accents. I do really like the 25s with the black and red accents. Those are pretty sharp. But the bronze, it's iconic. Can't go wrong with that. So, yeah. Yeah, just getting on this bike, this just feels like the height it's supposed to be. We're not even going to mess with road mode. We're going to leave this thing in sport mode. Get the full force of that 1250 motor here. So if you're not familiar with the Sportster S, allow me to introduce the Harley-Davidson Sportster S. So this was kind of our first look at the direction that the Harley-Davidson Sportster line was going in. So when they got rid of the 1200 and the 883cc motors, this is what replaced it, this 1250cc Rev Max motor. So a little more power, liquid cooled, and these bikes, it's a multi-purpose powertrain. And what I mean by that is that instead of having your traditional frame with the motor mounted in it, to save weight and a few other benefits, you actually have the motor as a structural part. So you have the front end of this bike mounted to it and the rear end mounted to the bike as well. So the classic Sportsters, they were fun, but this is quite the jump into the modern age, we'll say. So you've got 120 horsepower and a liquid cooled motor, and it uses a lot of the same technology as many of the previous Harley motors. So biggest advantage to that is it's not quite push rods, but you still don't have to worry about a valve adjustment on this bike. So a lot of your sport guys, sport bike guys, one of the big things you have to worry about is cleaning your chain and all those fun things associated with that, as well as your valve adjustment every so often. On this bike, those are two things you don't have to worry about, because this bike utilizes a rubber belt. So again, it's not quite as much maintenance involved with that. Still, you have to do the inspections to it and all that sort of thing, but there's not going to be quite as much cleaning and scrubbing and oiling and greasing and all that you have to do. So that's a nice little benefit. Now this was our first introduction. Now we have the Nightsters, which are a little bit smaller, a little more manageable, and they're on a 975 platform, but they still get it. And this bike, with its massive front end, it has such an aggressive look, and I'm excited to see how this bike really handles these mid controls. I already love this riding position that I'm sitting on. I feel so much more on top of this bike than I have previously mean, oh, and did I mention it can rev to like almost, it's got a 9,000 RPM rev limit. So it's a Harley, but it's one that you're gonna be ripping probably a little bit harder than your traditional bikes. Make sure I don't lose my wallet here. Yeah, and they're a 6-speed, and they can handle these highway cruises great. I mean, I'm in 5th gear right now because I really like to see that little bit of pull. So, I mean, yeah, I'm about 5,000 RPM, 70 miles an hour in 4th gear. And if I just want to give it a little, I mean, you're right there. So, I mean, yeah, I can, or if I'm just ready to cruise, go ahead, throw it up in 5th, and drop it again even lower in 6th. And now I'm at 4,000 RPM, 70 miles an hour, and she's got a lot to give. She has a lot she can give. So, and at this lower RPM, we're cruising again. So, I mean, and it's very comfortable now. It's a very thin seat, but, and you can set these bikes up for passengers, which is nice. You do have to swap out the rear fender with the little pillion there, but this ain't a bad ride right here. And again, if you are more familiar with the sport bikes, then you'll really enjoy the way these turn signals are set up. So it is the more traditional European style. The more traditional style. So instead of having the Harley style where it's one on each hand, you have the one just here on the left thumb like normal. Another big advantage of this bike is the tech. So like we were saying, you know, a lot of big advancements with the motor, but you know, it's not just a standard speedometer now. Now we have this, it's all digital readout, but you have this analog style RPM gauge or tachometer there, so you see that. And then we have our speed in the middle and miles on the bike. We've got our trip A, trip B. We can cycle through this. So I can see this bike has just less than 3,000 miles, and it is currently 87 degrees Fahrenheit outside in Raleigh, North Carolina. And with this fuel that's in it, based on that right there, I can go 45 miles, roughly. And that's just scratching the surface. Pair your phone with it. You can control your music with this right-hand control module. And if you have the Harley-Davidson app, you can also see your all kinds of fun stuff. You can see maps, display those. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this bike. Same tech that you're going to see on the Pan America. And this bike does have a lot of the same rider safety enhancements, so that's pretty nice. So this bike was kind of one of the most the first bike that we saw that was so advanced in tech. It had so many advancements on it. I mean, it had everything with a screen. It was quite a ways ahead of what the baggers at the time were able to do and show. Way ahead of the previous Sportsters, and especially the Softails. So it was quite the game changer of a bike. And it continues to be. I mean, it's a solid option. I mean, if you really like a lot of sport benefits but love the Harley brand and the Harley community especially, you can do a lot with this bike. You throw a little windscreen on too, really rack up some miles. I bet this bike would be pretty wild in some corners. You want to pass them in the same lane. Usually rude if you don't know them or don't get waved around. Gosh, the amount of power these bikes put out. And they're called the Rev Max, and they can rev to the max. They maxed Rev Max. And they've got all these nice Brembo brakes. So they can go, they can handle themselves at these speeds, and they can also stop really, really well. Because you can't just have all this power. The bike's got to be able to handle it, and it's got to be able to stop. And these bikes are light. It's a pretty small tank too. It's actually the same tank that you see in a lot of the Super Hooligan races with the highly modified Pan Americas. A lot of them just have Sportster S tanks bolted onto them. Apparently, it's a pretty easy thing to get swapped out. So if you like the look, you can do that. I know you can get a quick shifter for the Pan America. I'm pretty sure you can throw one on these bikes. Can't quite remember, but you might as well. Oh, it would be a nice day to go kayaking. Yeah, so with these mids, I mean, you can move around on these bikes quite a bit if you're trying to get crazy. Go full knee down at Lake Wheeler. That'd be funny. All right, we'll let this guy get a little bit and. I'm very surprised I don't see more Sportster S motorcycles set up like this. Oh, and did I mention it's also, so on the rear you can of course adjust the preload. There's a little knob here on the left side, I believe. You can reach under, and I think I can reach it from right here. Oh, I can, wow. I could, yeah, so if this isn't quite it, I can, that's actually pretty nice being able to do that on the road. So it's probably not recommended to do on the road. No, actually, I'm not going to say to do it on the road, but if somebody were to do what I said not to, you probably could, it feels like. So if there's a super bumpy road and you just kind of reach back and loosen up a little bit. But it has so much adjustment, and the front end is, you can actually set the front suspension on this too, which is not something you see on a lot of Harley bikes. Yeah, so I can actually make quite a bit of adjustment to the front end on this bike here with the left and right fork. So, and there's even more adjustment. I can adjust the bars to me a little bit closer, so I can make it a little bit more comfortable if I'm got a little bit smaller hands. This thing's got pull all the way down to all the way down through the rev range. That is one of the nice things about this is it'll pull everywhere. So no matter what RPM you're riding in, I mean, you can just get it within the confines of the law, of course. Another thing that a lot of people are divisive about is it, of course, is going for that kind of flat track performance look. So it does have this very high mount exhaust, and your leg is going to sit on it. But with this little shroud right here, cover, as you saw, it's almost 90 degrees out here today, and I have not the thickest pants on, some pretty lightweight khakis, trying to look a little fancy today, more or less, and I'm really not feeling any heat. It's not bad at all. I feel like there's more heat on the top of my leg from the sun beating down on it. All right, we are not getting behind that guy. Don't pull out, please. Thank you. Yeah, you better grab on when you start pulling on that throttle. Holy cow. So let's see, you also have cruise control because it's, like I said, we're fancy. So I can tap that and pull back And then we have cruise control on this bike, so we're all set. Pretty easy to cut off. I can just reach up and tap it there. Nice bright LEDs all the way around. Good tip in. And these bikes do sound really good when they're opened up. When they're cold, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're dragging a shovel right out the gate. But once you open these things up and they get warmed up, I mean, they sound pretty good. And maybe it's just the association, because whenever they are opened up, it's quite the thrilling, quite the thrill. So maybe we've just associated that not as good of sound as we think, just with the excitement this bike can give you. So if you're looking to feel something, this will do it. It's got a fuel hatch, so it just kind of lifts up instead of the fuel cap, I reckon. Well, again, lots of fun tech, lots of good performance. And this riding position, I think this is easily my favorite Sportster S. And also the painted white on the tires too. It looks good. That's a nice touch. Another advantage to ride modes that a lot of people usually don't think about is changes in road conditions. So, well, of course they usually think about that, but they usually only think about that when it comes to rain mode. They don't really think about it when it comes to a sensitive or responsive throttle you get with sport mode and trying to manage that on a, an incredibly bumpy road. So what you can do is, throw it in rain mode or road mode if it's a really bad road, and then you don't have to worry. On a bike like this that's set up to be so responsive in sport mode, if I'm just kind of jerking it a little bit, I mean, the bike's it's going where the throttle wants, or where you tell the throttle to go, that's where this bike is going. So if you're not quite able to hold that throttle as steady as you should or want to, then throw it in rain mode or road mode. Just you reach up with your right pointer finger, and see, this one does have custom modes, so you can go into that depending and retune some, if you like different parts of each mode, get that set. But I can throw it in rain mode here, and now look, it's much smoother if I'm still pretty jerky on it. But we're going to throw it in road mode because that just feels like a really good middle ground. Oh, and also fuel economy. So yeah, again, it doesn't have the biggest tank, so if you're trying to stretch that out pretty far, then yeah, throw it in rain mode, and it's going to make the bike a little bit less responsive. So if you just have the throttle wide open, then it's going to slow you back a little bit. So it's going to actually, it should give you a little bit more fuel economy. So if you're really trying to stretch the distance on this tank, do some touring with, which I think you could. I think it would be fun. That'd be a fun documentary for us to do, is a little weekend ride on the Sportster S. We spend an entire weekend just on the Sportster S, take it to the mountains, and figure out, okay, how do we pack on this bike? How do you travel with a light sport bike like this? Oh, and your feet are right up underneath you, so you can stand up nice and easy. Yeah, so a road like this until Lake Wheeler gets buttoned up. I like it. So yeah, the Kodlin rear end lift, I'd highly recommend checking that out, and especially these mid controls. This is a phenomenal riding position. If you've got a Sportster S and you're on the fence about these mids, then come here before this bike goes and come see it. Or if you just want a Sportster S already set up for you, come see it. I mean, this is a fun bike to ride, and that's kind of what it's set up to do. Be a bike you can just go rip on. So if you're looking for a bike like that, then come see us here at Tobacco Road or Harley-Davidson, and come check out some options and see what bike might be right for you. So in the meantime, ride safe, and we hope to see you out here sometime soon. See if we can... Oh. Smooth. Oh, and a cut off. All right, we'll see you guys later.